Hey, what's up, cats and kittens? And shout out to all my cerebral lights. It's me, the Cerebral Diva. It is Monday, April 3rd, 2017, and I'm back with a Season 9, Episode 19 review of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Side Dishes and Side Pieces. So we're in 19 episodes already, which is crazy to me. It's been 19 episodes. I believe next week will be the season finale, which will be episode 20. And I think they have a 3-part reunion, so for a total of 23 episodes. You know, Bravo was like, look, you girls want money, you want these high salaries, we're going to make you guys work for it, so we're going to squeeze every ounce of juice out of this turnip. So anyhow, the title of the episode is Side Dishes and Side Pizzas, which is apropos being that this episode primarily featured the opening of the OLG, Old Lady Gang restaurant, as well as an introduction to a new character called Shireen. I shouldn't say called. Maybe I shouldn't call her a character, even though she kind of was a character to me. We got introduced to Apollo, Phaedra's ex-husband, Apollo Nida's new girlfriend / fiance by the name of Shireen. So yeah, let's dive right in. So the episode starts off with Cynthia and Noelle, and they're just discussing the fashion show that happened the week before. Cynthia's also sort of in this sort of ambivalent place about her divorce, where she's excited to be free from the confines of marriage, but she's also sort of a little saddened by the ending of that relationship with Peter. So we see her sort of balancing that, trying to find balance within those two places emotionally. And we also see Todd picking Peter up from the airport, who's in town to support the opening of the OLG gang, as well as to finalize his divorce from Cynthia. And it's really, you know, I really like Cynthia and Peter as a couple, so I'm kind of sad to see them go. But one of the things that I love about this divorce, excuse me, and I guess I shouldn't say I don't love it about the divorce, I love this about Cynthia, because I think Cynthia is setting a great example for women, that you don't have to feel trapped in a relationship. Because very often, past the age of like maybe 35, very often women start to feel like they're aging out, like they don't have a chance, and that if they leave this guy, no one's going to want them. They have kids. They're not this. They're not that. And Cynthia is proof positive that at 50, if she's not afraid to go out here and start life anew, you have no excuse to either. And, you know, we see so many examples of people like Mimi, people like, who else is it? Just pretty much every other woman. Oh, Tara and Amina Butterfly on Love and Hip Hop New York. Rashida on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Like, there's so many examples of these women who make themselves look foolish by staying in these relationships with these guys who basically have absolutely not an ounce of respect for them or for their relationships. So I don't really know the ins and outs of why Cynthia decided to leave Peter, but I'm just happy to see a woman who's strong enough to not sit there and take whatever, you know, because I'm inclined to believe that there was some impropriety, some infidelity on Peter's part. I don't know that for sure, but based on what we've been reading on the blogs and so on and so forth, usually where there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm pretty sure that there was some sort of infidelity going on. But in any case, whether there was infidelity or not, just the fact that by nature of her being unhappy, the fact that she was brave enough and bold enough to take power of her own life and say, look, I'm not happy here, I'm leaving. I wish more women would learn to do that. And I think that when you learn, it's hard for you to ask for respect from a man when you're not respecting yourself. And part of respecting yourself is being willing to wield the power that you've been given. So that's that. Now, what's also interesting is when Todd picks Peter up, and when I'm talking about Todd, let's be clear, I'm talking about Candy's Todd, not Portia's Todd, the relevant Todd. So Todd picks Peter up from the airport, the two of them in the car, and, you know, they're sort of, you know, having this exchange, and then Apollo calls from prison and tells Todd that his new wife or girlfriend / fiance is going to come out as his proxy to support the opening of the OLG. Now, no one's ever met this lady before. No one even knew this lady existed. Why she would pop up, I have no idea. To me, this was just an opportunity to embarrass Phaedra, to humble Phaedra. And one of the things that really struck me about the conversation was the fact that when they were quizzing Apollo about who this young lady was, Apollo started talking about how he had to upgrade from Phaedra. And I'm sitting here watching TV and I'm thinking, well, that's really interesting that he's in jail, not for the first time, but for the second time that I know of, or in prison, I should say, for the second time. Yet he has the unmitigated gall to believe that he is the one who's upgrading. Just by virtue of divorcing Apollo, Phaedra upgraded. And when you hear sort of this juvenile mentality that he has, you know, where basically the definition for upgrading for him is based on physicality, is based on aesthetics. And I'm not the hugest Phaedra fan, but Phaedra is far from an ugly woman. Not only is she not, well, I think Phaedra would be what I define as cute. I wouldn't necessarily say she's beautiful, but I do think she's cute. I think she's an attractive woman. And I think that her attractiveness is underscored by the fact that she's an intelligent, self-motivated, driven woman who's out there making things happen in her own life, and doing so legally. You know, the feds aren't knocking at her door. They were when she was with you, but they're no longer knocking at her door. So for him to have the gall to say that he's the one that's upgrading is just ridiculous to me, and it really speaks to his level of maturity. Because if you think that and I don't know anything about this lady Shireen, what she does, how she earns a living, but to me she seems very opportunistic. Any woman with an ounce of self-respect would not have walked into that situation. It was very exploitative. It was thirsty, you know, for lack of a better term, to walk into a situation not knowing anyone, not really having any connection to any of the parties who were involved in OLG, and sort of inserting yourself into a place that people probably, I shouldn't say probably, but people didn't want you to be. And it just felt awkward and forced and contrived and all of those things. But, you know, apparently, you know, she's attention starved and she got some attention, and I'm sure that her 15 minutes will probably expire. You know, to me, she seems like someone who's hungry to be on reality TV and is willing to do so at any cost. And if that means being in a relationship with a convict, then so be it. So she comes on the show, and, you know, you can tell that her presence at the OLG grand opening is making Kandi in particular very, very sort of uneasy. You know, the trepidation is written all over Kandi's face when you know, she's there and Apollo calls during her visit to the OLG grand opening. And so Kandi specifically says to Apollo, and in front of the girl, which I have, I'm sending you a long distance high five, Kandi, because she keeps it real and just tells Todd, look, not Todd, I'm sorry, Apollo, that this is making me super uncomfortable. You know, it makes me look messy. You know, I don't want Phaedra to think that I had anything to do with this. Now, the irony is that even though Kandi is no longer friends with Phaedra, she still feels a sense of allegiance to Phaedra, but Kandi has absolutely no idea that Phaedra is facilitating a lawsuit behind her back. And so it's really interesting to see those two sort of loyalties tested, and see how Kandi handles it and how Phaedra handles it. So I'm trying to think of anything, if there was anything interesting that happened on the episode. I don't think anything else really stands out to me. I know next week, as I stated before, is the season finale, so that should be really interesting. This episode, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give like a 5.5. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. I mean, I think sort of the pinnacle of this season was the Hawaii episodes with Kandi and Portia. Yeah, but so it's pretty much all down here from now, you guys. And 20 episodes in, I'm okay with it being downhill, as the you know, suffering from a little bit of Real Housewives of Atlanta saturation. So As much as I love the show, I'm going to be glad to see it take a break or go on hiatus. So, yeah. Anyway, you guys, as always, in closing, remember to live better, love harder, and think smarter. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I do have a Snapchat, even though I'm not currently using that. But follow me so that when I do begin to use it, you'll already be there. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Oh, and Twitter. Twitter is probably the most active social media that I have. So if you want to catch up with me and my thoughts, definitely follow me on Twitter. And I will talk to you.